3 full days with a epoxy pour each and every day. Now the epoxy here is still quite gummy. You can mark it with your fingernail, though it does spring back. And that's when I like to take it apart, because it seems to hold on to it less. And what we're about to see is what's underneath. So you saw that first pour where I had the blowout. That was expected. You saw the second pour, no blowout, and you didn't actually see the third pour. So each one has had about 24 hours. It's been about 20 since I poured that last pour. So 3 separate pours to fill that crack. Let's see what it looks like. Moment of truth. Yeah, buddy boy? Yeah? See, down here will be the mess. Because that's where I had the blowout, that's where I got tape stacked on tape, stacked on epoxy. Tell you what, let me peel this and we'll come back. This will sort of help give you an idea of what it's going to look like. And it is about what I expected to see. We've got the various voids. You see this, that first layer, that runs all the way to the bottom and there are no bubbles. And that's fine. Of course, we had that first layer blow out and drain. So that then leaves every bit of glass coated with epoxy, which basically serves to plug some of these voids so that it can't get epoxy on the second and third. There was no fourth pour on this. So far everything's fine. Now these bits that ended up inside, as long as they're proud of the surface, that is, they dome up and come back down, no big deal. Sand right off. These ones that are shy of the surface, like this one here, that'll have to come out. And it's nice is you can be fairly brutal to the epoxy and the next coat will fill it entirely and you won't see it, provided you don't leave any slits that like bubbles stay in, nice straight lines. Then it will show. So I've got to dig this out. I've got some major, well, not major, that's half the size of a dime, maybe the thickness of a nickel. And that one's in there a little deep. The epoxy got behind that piece of tape. And it's a little low right in here, but again, I think the saw is going to come across right there, so I don't know if that matters. On the back side, it's both better and worse. Worse in that we've got some major concavities in here, as well as some ugly yellowing in this general area. I'm not if that's tannin or something leaching out of the wood, but it should be really no big deal. I'll have to dig these out, obviously. Now, if it's the back side, it doesn't really matter all that much if you leave the concavity, except I'm going to edge it. And as you run your hand along the edge, like this table here, this one is upside down. As you run your hand along the edge, and we're trying to build a table that invites you to run your hand along the edge. As you do that, if I've got these dips, it's gonna, I don't know, I don't like it. So, we'll see. Once again, I'll have to dig that out with a knife. I will say, having done this before, what you doing, buddy? Got my helper. Oh, yeah, it's pretty wicked. Your mommy's mad at me. And that's probably not good for it. No, it's not hot. It's fine. Yeah, color. If you don't have the glass, see, the glass in here creates all sorts of problems. I've had big bubbles form. You know, it kind of skims over, it drains away. And I've drilled into them from the backside and filled them up that way, and it's been quite successful in a couple of other major epoxy filled tables like this. So I did one with LED lights in it. That was pretty cool. But in this economy, nobody buys stuff like that. So Now I just need to get in there. You need to cut that back, cut it out. Try not to leave deep cut scratch marks. You've got to get all this stuff because it'll shade from the back side. Alright, well, you can't see it from here, but understand that right now this surface is totally opaque. Once it's sanded flat and coated and covered, this will be liquid clear, like the name implies, and so all that stuff will show. Where am I? I'm right here, bud. I'm right here. See where you are? What do you want? No, you don't want that big stick. Yeah, stick. So, a little bit of prep work, and the next step will be the sanding, the patching, and the finishing. So to dig those out, you can see I just got a blade. Comes up relatively easy. And then I just excise any parts where the tape is still contained inside, or any parts where I can see a white opaqueness where I have cut it with the blade itself. The epoxy really doesn't want to hold the tape, so it's not all that hard if you do it when it's still a little gummy. And because I'm doing it so very, very cold, all of mine is a little gummy. Yeah, bud? So there, I put a slit. Now I cut that slit off. Done and done. So this is the epoxy blowout, and then right here the epoxy is quite a bit thicker. And all of this is going to end up with another coat at one point. So it's best if I can knock some of this extra down. Also, I've got tape deep below the epoxy, and you know it's really got to come out. You don't want to encapsulate the tape or you'll be digging for it. So one of the ways I do it is I take a nice, sharp, brand new, and I destroy these things. Sharp, brand new razor blade, and I use it like a scraper. And I just run over the top. This way it doesn't really pull up a lot of wood. If any, usually. But it does allow me to get that epoxy out of the way. And you can see I've already managed to dig out all of that tape. That is by far the fastest way to take care of your drips and your runs. Once again, however, it's easier if you get at them before they have a chance to go totally hard. Okay, now I did make one tiny mistake in that pool right there, which is open, is now totally full of shavings. And I'll need... Yeah, it's a circle. That's smart thinking, buddy. Yeah, a circle. I will totally need to clean that out with some air and solvent before I pour, or I'll just encapsulate all the crap down inside. And I don't figure that's what you want to do. So by doing that, I have brought that spill back down under control. And this is actually how I will go about most of the smoothing process with the pour here. You know, you can sand slowly or you can sand with special paper. But by doing this, you remove most of the heavy sanding. Of course, I do have glass proud of the surface all through here, which was intentional, and that will all need to come down. And that could yet be a rather brutal and intensive sand process. But that's a problem for another day. Now we're ready to fill some crack.